All right, afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today on this webinar on PCI Compliance. My name is Noah Yagubian, and I am a technology maestro. I conduct technology systems for small businesses. Been doing it for about 15 years. We specialize in what's called managed services, which is a proactive approach to IT support, cybersecurity, and ongoing strategy, along with hundreds of other, tech-related systems and issues that we deal with in our businesses on a day-to-day basis. Today, I am joined by Nicholas and Michael, who are from a company called Secure Payments, and they are PCI compliance specialists. You know what? Let's just dive right on in and let's get to today's webinar. Go ahead and take over, Nicholas.
Cool. Thank you so much for that intro, Noah. So my name is Nicholas. I've been working in payment processing and PCI compliance for the better part of 4 years, going on 5 years now in January. So I've seen every different type of processor, every different type of POS system, and how compliance is handled from a PCI standpoint. So today we're going to touch on a little bit processing fees and a lot on PCI compliance and how those two can correlate. But the objective today is to urge people to come and meet with us and learn a little bit more about processing and PCI compliance at the end of this webinar. So cool. So why are processing fees so high? So if you're watching or listening to this, you know that your processing fees are taking at least 3 to 5 to 7% of the volume coming into your organization from credit cards or debit cards. So a little bit of the background as to what you're getting charged for is interchange fees. So what interchange fees are set by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, all the major credit card brands, and they're determined off the risk and reward of the type of card. So if you think about a super high ticket credit card, say like a high end American Express card, those are a lot more expensive to take than a Visa debit card because you could tie a Visa debit card directly to an individual's bank account, makes it a lot less susceptible to fraud and different things of that nature. Hidden markups. So each processor does add some sort of a basis point charge to the interchange rates to make profit on the account, but those could raise all the way up to a full percentage to 2 percentage points, which could really cause your overall effective rate and your processing fees to spike. Non-compliance penalties, I'll touch more on this in the next slide, but non-compliance charges can range anywhere from $50 to $150 a month for being PCI non-compliant. High risk transactions. This occurs more when you enter a card without getting enough information, say the CVV code or the zip code of the customer paying with that card. It's deeming the transaction high risk, thus giving you a higher charge per card. Inefficient payment methods, so this could be outdated software or hardware, could be causing your processor to charge you some sort of a non-compliant device or virtual terminal charge. So it's good to be able to take a look at those systems and hardware to ensure that they're up to date. Cool. So risks of being PCI non-compliant. These are just three of the major ones, but the list does go on and on of what could occur if you're non-compliant. But let me start a little bit and touch on what compliance is from a high level standpoint. It was set after the major Target breach about a decade ago, probably going on 15 years ago, where many of Target's customers, so Target, the conglomerate, their credit card information got stolen. So all of the major credit card companies came together and decided to make rules and regulations centered around accepting, storing, handling credit cards and debit cards so that it could protect not only the cardholder, but the organization itself. So if you're a small to medium sized business, you have to become PCI compliant, whether you take one or 100 cards per month. or you could face some of these consequences or risks from being non-compliant. So first one is hidden fees. I touched on that in the last slide. Can be from 50 to 150 a month for one charge. I've seen all the way up to PCI non-compliance charges adding up to about 450 a month. So if you do the math on that, that could really add up over months, years, so on and so forth. The second little piggy bank we got here is the incident per month, which is a breach incident. So you could be liable from 5K to 100K if there's a breach of your financial system. This also pertains to chargeback situations. So to give you an example on that, if you're a healthcare provider and you provide some sort of care to your patient, and they decide that that care wasn't up to their standards, they decide that for whatever reason they're going to charge it back. They call up Discover. They say this wasn't me, or it wasn't done accurately or correctly. What can happen is you could be out of those funds if you're non-compliant, because Discover is going to check on your compliance status, say you're operating out of PCI compliance standards, thus susceptible to chargebacks for not following best practices. The third mark here is get denied for any cyber liability insurance. So this is something that's very common nowadays. A lot of organizations have cyber liability. One of the main reasons that they're not paid off on claims is because PCI non-compliance. And one of the main reasons why you're not PCI compliant is your processor and the way that you're accepting transactions. So the steps to becoming compliant can be extensive. That's one of the things that we're here to help with. It's usually what's called the self-assessment questionnaire, which is provided by the processor itself, and then some sort of a scan on your network, which if it comes back as a fail, there might be something you have to do on the IT side to become compliant. But those are usually the first two steps to becoming compliant, and depending on how you accept transactions, those could vary. But again, that's the reason that we exist and the reason that we've teamed up with NOAA. So how could you reduce your processing fees? So this is a pretty simple answer. You could lower your transactional costs, so you could negotiate better rates. When I say negotiate better rates, it could just be on a better platform that's fitted to your business, or a pricing structure that's better fitted to your organization. Cost-effective payment solutions. So in my time of analyzing statements and accounts, I've seen people paying $200 a month for a processing solution that they did not need from a functionality standpoint. So sometimes you're just set up with something that's kind of out of what your needs are. Secure payments. So that's the name of our organization, but securing your payments will lower your effective rate. Protecting your business from fraud, chargebacks, avoid the costly penalties, because if there is some sort of a chargeback, you could be charged more on the back end of your processing account. Additionally, you're getting charged those monthly security fees. You could be enrolled in a bunch of security programs that you're not utilizing. So it's really important to check on the overall health of your processing overall. So fixing AR issues through better payment processing. One of the main things that I help people out with on a daily basis is improving how they get paid, cash flow, and AR challenges that an organization is facing. So some of the main ones that we see are slow payments. So you're just not getting paid on time. You're sending out an invoice, it's sitting in the customer's inbox, you're not able to pay it on time, or they're not able to pay it on time because they don't have to, right? There's no stored card or anything on file to get that transaction from their account into yours. High transaction fees and processing costs. So this could occur through your processing account, as I touched on in the last slide. You're just on the wrong pricing structure, right? And you're just not using the right solution for your needs. There could be a bunch of cost savings that you're not seeing. So how can you improve your AR issues? Getting faster payments. So that would be automating invoicing and offer real-time payment options. So you could have an invoice that allows you to select ACH, credit card, debit card, all of the different ways a customer can pay for their convenience. You could also store cards on file and have them sign a waiver of allowing you to run that card through X amount of payments. That way you're not chasing somebody to get the money that you've already provided the service for, right? seamless billing, so reducing errors. So that's reducing human errors, right? The more human errors on a processing account, one, the more susceptible you are going to be to any type of chargeback dispute and losing that dispute or breach situation because humans are careless by nature. But allowing your software to be the one doing the thinking when it comes to accepting the payment itself and requiring certain information to make it a qualified transaction is the best practice in this standpoint. So one thing that we do have access to is a bunch of solutions within AR and payment processing that could help improve workflow. So anybody listening or watching this recording could get a better idea of how they can improve their cash flow by just scheduling up a quick meeting with us. So awesome. So what we're doing in partnership with Noah and Laser IT is providing free processing assessments. So what that entails is we'll go through a high level payment processing PCI compliance assessment of your current environment. So we'll ask for some documentation, merchant processing statements. We run them through a comprehensive software. We could build a report and show you where you stand from a current processing standpoint in relation to fees, in relation to security, in relation to functionality. And then about 99% of the time, we're able to find some sort of cost savings within your payment processing environment. So even if it's not through something that we recommend, we could always be someone that goes to bat for you for your processor and gets your overall effective rate lowered. But more importantly, we're here to secure the account itself. So your organization is not susceptible to those breach chargeback type of situations because those could be very, very financially impactful. Additionally, I've seen organizations have to close because of the amount of breach or chargeback situations that they've encountered. So we're here to kind of evaluate, take a look under the hood. We're not here to judge. We're just here to help out. So we really urge everyone to scan the QR code, which will take you directly to my Calendly link, and set up a meeting with me. We'll chat a little bit about your environment and then see how we could help out from a compliance and a fee standpoint. So thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to our presentation. And I'm going to give it back over to Noah.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Nicholas. I do have just a couple of things. So on the PCI compliance standpoint, for anybody, watching or listening, the SAQ, can you explain a little bit about what an SAQ is?
Definitely. So there's 9 different types of self-assessment questionnaires. They are created by the PCI Council, which is the overall security standards for each card brand in conjunction with each other. So what you do in an SAQ is you're attesting to best practices. So one, you have to fill it out accurately. It'll have things about your IT side, it'll have things about cardholder data and so on and so forth. But once you fill that out accurately, you'll get assessed an attestation of compliance, and that'll be able to protect you from those types of things. So high level, it's a extensive questionnaire around your payment and IT environment in relationship to how you accept processing transactions.
Yeah, and that questionnaire comes from the credit card company or the merchant company.
So they are created by the PCI standards, and the way that it works is you fill out a business profile. The business profile then puts you into one of the SAQ categories, and your processor will be the one that administrates it to have you fill out and attest.
Yeah, thanks for that. Another question brought up is on the hidden fees or right the nasty fees. How would someone go about just taking a look to see if they're being overcharged or have any negative fees? What does that look like?
Yeah, so a good rule of thumb is just to crack open your last 3 months of merchant processing statements. Again, that's something that we like to assist with because they could be in hidden verbiage. But anything with the word PCI non-compliance or the word non-qualified on your statement is a security related fee. Thus, it's causing your effective rate to spike. Additionally, a good way to kind of start evaluating statements is finding your effective rate, which is total fees divided by total transactions. So if that gets into anywhere from the 3.5 to the 4% range, no matter what you're processing, you're most likely being overcharged by your processor.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so for anybody, who goes through those statements and they see there's a fee or right, something that you mentioned, they definitely want to get in touch with the expert to take a deeper look, and
Yes,
see
sir.
what we can help with. Now, I know that you mentioned an automated billing platform. Would you be able to show a little bit about a couple of those systems or one of those systems for us?
Definitely. So can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah, yeah, just fine.
Awesome. So this is one of the platforms that we recommend or we have access to. Let me start with the reasoning behind why we use this platform. It's called Pay Anywhere. The processor on the back end is called North, formerly known as EPX. And the reason that we recommend it is because we're able to handle the PCI compliance on the back end. So all those things that I went through in the beginning of this presentation are now void because we're able to come in and take that directly off your plate and onto ours if you decided to use a solution of this nature. One of the things you could do, store information. So obviously you could see my information is stored here, a description of the goods. So if you want to be able to print a receipt, say it's a subscription, a total amount. It also has the ability to pass along the fee to the end user. So if you want to pass along somewhere between 2 and 4% to mitigate processing costs, this is a really, really good opportunity to do so on this platform. And then you could toggle it on and off. So you have a big customer that is going to be a little upset that you're charging a convenience fee for credit cards. You can go ahead and toggle that right off. Um, Enter card manually or use a card reader. So this has access to a bunch of different readers, including mobile readers, standalone terminals, readers in the field. So if you have technicians that need to go run transactions, it has the ability to do that as well. Another thing that a lot of customers using Pay Anywhere like to use is the creating an invoice feature. So here, let me try to clear this out a bit. So here's where you can send out to the end user a invoice customized to your organization. So if I were to preview the invoice, you could see what it looks like. This will have whatever your company's name and whatever your company's branding on this invoice so they know who it's coming from. It's for relevance, it's for credibility, all of those different types of things. They could hit pay now from their couch at 11:30 at night and be able to pay with Apple Pay, their credit card, their debit card. That way you're not chasing them via phone. They don't have to come into the store to run a transaction. And then you'll get a notification via email and in your portal that this has been paid once it has. Another thing that you could do is set recurring invoices. So you could repeat every 1 month, say hypothetically, and the recurring transaction or the recurring invoice will come 1 month on the date that you selected until the invoice is completely paid off. They'll also have the option just to go ahead and pay in full. They're getting tired of getting all these invoices and just want to get rid of it. But that's the invoicing feature within this platform, something that a lot of people like to use. If you think of Square, Intuit, or Stripe, very comparable to that, except a lot more secure and even more affordable. So that's kind of the high level on the invoicing side. Another thing we like to do is create a payment link. So you could always come in here, create a payment link, and then create a QR code of that payment link as well right here, and be able to drop this on an invoice, be able to put this on your website, as you can see here. So you have all of the ability to do so. They would click this here, and you could see that they could pay via credit card on the link itself. So a lot of nonprofit organizations use this. So you could put a QR code on your website if you're having a bake sale, if you're having a sale somewhere where you have a table set up, right? This is something that could be used for functionality and convenience of the customer itself. So what you'll see when you pop open the dashboard is your home screen. You see one-time payment, new invoice, new payment link, and add employees. Adding employees is relatively simple. You could have, different access set up. And so if you want to have an admin that could, administrate refunds, or you just want to have a cashier that can only take transactions, that is kind of where you would go in and do so. Another great feature is being able to pull your statements directly from the portal. You don't have to wait for those to be mailed or sent in via email. You could see exactly what you're processing. Obviously, this is a demo platform, so that is not going to have any transactions on it, but this is where you'll be able to see for transparency on a monthly basis what you've been processing via credit cards, what you've been paying via fees, so there's nothing being hidden from you. Okay, cool. Customers. So this is a really awesome feature that we recently added. You could create a customer and then add a payment method to keep on file. But this number is completely tokenized. You'll never be able to copy the full number once you import it. So that's what makes it fully PCI compliant. You'll be able to put it in, save the card. And obviously, I can't save a card right now. But if I clicked on this Sydney, I would be able to run her transaction on her card on file without having to reach out to her because we've already sent out an approval notice where they complete that they'll be able to run that transaction on their card. So you don't have to go chase the end customer themselves. You'll have their card stored on file. It's a really good way to improve workflow and accounts receivable because there's not a bunch of invoices out. It's all being charged on the file. So every time their card expires, it'll automatically intuitively update that card. So you don't even have to go chase them for any new CVV code. It automatically does it, saves you time on that end.
So this system, it'll automatically send out like invoice reminders or say a credit card is expiring, say an invoice, right? It's past due. It does those sorts of things.
Yep. So if an invoice is past due, it'll automatically send a reminder every 72 hours that the invoice is past due. But if you have the card on file, you've already solved that problem because you could run it on your end. Um, Additionally, being able to send out invoice links on a recurring basis is a really good way to set up payment plans. So a lot of individuals do that as well. Um, Hopefully that answers the question, Noah.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much for taking me through that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap on up. You get that last slide. We'll just go ahead and close it on out. Yeah, so for anyone, on the call, thanks for joining us. Anyone listening, I appreciate you listening on in. If you have any questions at all about anything that we just went over in the slide, from PCI compliance to hidden fees to automated billing systems, even across, to IT support, cybersecurity, any of the techie stuff, just give us a call. You can send us an email or scan the QR, and that takes you to our website. You can check us out, learn a little bit more about us, and book an appointment. Once again, Nicholas and Michael, I really appreciate your time. This has been very educational, just brilliant. Yeah, so I'd like to appreciate your hard work, and we'll see you guys next time.